When two gangs exist in the same geographical area, it tends to create a certain air of animosity toward each other. Conflict is prone to become the order of the day if the authorities are not swift to defuse the situation. So is the case of the El Mayo and the Chapitos. But this isn't just mere dispute over the territories. It has become a full-blown war between both rival gangs, and a lot of blood has been shed concerning this dispute. But how did this all begin? Well, in this video, we'll take a deep dive into the history of this war and how we got to this point. So sit tight and let's begin. To fully understand this war, we have to go back in time to the root of this issue. It all started when one of the most wanted men at the time wanted some of his children, who were still teenagers, to learn about the ins and outs of criminal organization. This man was none other than El Chapo himself. Well, according to reports, it is believed that El Chapo had dozens of children with several women, but only 4 of them were identified to be involved prominently in the Sinaloa Cartel's criminals operation. They are Joaquín Guzmán López, Ovidio Guzmán López, Iván Archibaldo Guzmán Salazar, and Jesús Alfredo Guzmán Salazar. Of these 4, only Ovidio, Ivan, and Jesus were brought into the Sinaloa Cartel, which he led alongside El Mayo. Ovidio was the first one to really gain attention. He was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department Office of Foreign Control of OFAC in 2012, and he wasn't indicted until February 2019. And in October 2019, Mexican Joint Security Forces launched a not-so-well-planned operation to capture him. It didn't take too long, however, before news of his capture spread like wildfire. Once it got to the attention of the Sinaloa Cartel members, they responded in full force. They swarmed the city and launched an all-out offensive against the government, demanding his release. Initially, the government tried to be firm and stand its ground, but the pressure of the cartel wasn't letting up, so ultimately, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador ordered that the operation be stopped and that the presumed criminal be set free. But it wasn't just Ovidio being noticed. According to reports, Ivan and Jesus were also important cartel operatives. The first time their name really came to the limelight was in 2016, when the 2 brothers were among a group of men that were abducted by the CJNG in a restaurant in Puerto Vallarta in Jalisco State, which was the home turf of the CJNG gang. They were later released on account of their father. However, Jesus just couldn't get himself out of trouble. As much as his role in the Sinaloa Cartel increased, his notoriety followed suit, and soon enough, he landed himself on the DEA's most wanted list, a distinction none of his brothers has been able to obtain. In 2015, U.S. prosecutors indicted him alongside his father El Chapo and some other cartel leaders on drug trafficking charge. In fact, according to numerous reports, it is believed that Jesus played an important international role in the group. In 2016, it was reported that he spent some time in Medellin, which was a city in Colombia, under the protection of one of the city's most powerful criminal gangs called La Terraza, trying to secure new connections. Joaquin, on the other hand, has kept a low profile compared to his brothers. However, he couldn't escape the long arm of the law. In February 2019, the U.S. Justice Department indicted him alongside his brother Ovidio for conspiring to traffic cocaine, methamphetamine, and marijuana into the United States. There was a shortage of details concerning the indictment, but the U.S. prosecutors believed that the trafficking took place over the course of a decade, between April 2008 and April 2018. According to reports, all these were done for the Sinaloa Cartel. You must be wondering, so how did war really begin? Well, it all started when their father got arrested back in 2016. The Chapitos began to be at loggerhead with the Mayo and their uncle named Aureliano Guzmán Loera. also known as El Guano, over the control of the group's operation. The Chapitos believe that since the group was founded by their father, they are entitled to inherit it just like his properties. Now, because of this, fierce battles have erupted and have left scores of people dead. Most recently, in May 2020, Jose Rodrigo Archiga Gamboa, who was close associate of El Mayo, was found dead after he escaped federal probation in San Diego. And according to reports, the Chapitos are behind the attack. Again, in June 2020, a multi-hour shootout reportedly between the two sides has left 16 people dead. Well, have kept the heat up and it has attracted unwanted attention for them. At the end of 2021, the US State Department announced that in addition to the facing federal drug trafficking charge, they upped their reward to $20 million for information leading to the arrest of the four sons. They also got sanctioned by the US Treasury Department under the Kingpin Act. This, however, hasn't deterred them in any way. If anything, the Chapitos have only stepped up their effort to exert dominance over the group their father once owned. In February 2022, some armed men who have been linked to the Chapitos rode in a convoy of dozens of vehicles and laid siege on the municipality of Carboca near to the US border. The reason still remains unclear, but for hours they occupied the city and the local police weren't able to do anything but watch until the morning. In the end, the attack left 2 dead and at least 5 other people injured. One thing the Chapitos have mastered over the years is the act of acquiring firepower. And trust me, they do it well. In early March 2020, a coalition of the Mexican Army and the National Guard raided 4 homes linked to the Chapitos in Navojoa municipality of the south of Sonora State and seized an arsenal of almost 3 million rounds of ammunition of different calibers, 6.50 caliber rifles, more than 150 handguns and automatic rifles, dozens of grenades and 12 bullet vests, among other drugs, magazines and tactical gear. The mere scale terrified Mexican authorities, as this was the largest criminal arsenal ever seized in the country. It is clear that the Chapitos want control over their father's cartel and have proven that they will stop at nothing to achieve that goal, even if it means war. Primarily, the Chapitos' home base was in their birthplace in Sinaloa State. However, in northwest Mexico along the country's Pacific coast, which has always been a Sinaloa Cartel fiefdom, especially the capital city of Culiacan. And according to reports, El Chapo's sons have appeared to have more control within the Culiacan and other urban areas, while El Mayo, on the other hand, is believed to have much more sway in the rural networks and in areas surrounding the city. As a whole, the Sinaloa Cartel is operational in major cities stretching from New York to Buenos Aires and numerous others in between. And as if that was not enough, they also operate at least 17 Mexican states, and according to some reports, as many as 50 countries. Recently, the battle between the Chapitos and El Mayo has moved beyond its longtime center of Sinaloa. It has now reached other states like Baja California and Sonora. But outside all of that, reports surface that representatives of the Chapitos were regularly traveling to Mexico City to extend their influence even further. In early 2021, Mexican authorities reportedly took down a cell of the Sinaloa Cartel that was under the Chapitos, but this hasn't deterred the Chapitos from continuing to expand into the capital one bit, especially in the micro-trafficking scene of Tepito. Well, it's not that hard to guess what the Chapitos' main business was. Much like their father, they were heavily into the international drug trafficking scene. And according to various US indictments, these brothers are involved in trafficking large quantities of everything illegal. from cocaine and marijuana to methamphetamine into the United States, using a vast web of contacts they've gathered over the years through Latin America. In fact, the group became seriously involved in the synthetic drug trade along CGNG. They even expand their activities to include the exploitation of drug rehab centers to recruit new traffickers. In addition, the group has looked beyond the US market and start tapping into a new buzzing market, which is Australia. It's safe to say that these boys are incredibly industrious and are always looking for better new ways to do good old things, but is demanding for complete leadership of the Sinaloa Cartel asking for too much? Looking ahead, the Chapitos certainly have a leg up on El Mayo as far as longevity goes, because the old capo is reportedly in bad health, is currently battling diabetes. However, rolling El Mayo out completely is like throwing caution into the wind and crossing a busy road with your eyes closed. His roots in the Sinaloa Cartel run deep. The fact that he was El Chapo's right-hand man says a lot about him. Up till today, the Chapitos have still remained unsuccessfully in seizing total control of the cartel's operation. However, if or when El Mayo falls, either after being arrested or gunned down in a typical organized crime fashion, or even giving up due to illness, the Chapitos will be forerunners to hold the Sinaloa Cartel's top spot. Do you think the Chapitos simply deserve the control of the Sinaloa Cartel because of their dad was and what he stood for? Or is El Mayo truly deserving of the top spot in the group? Let us know in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed this video, click on the next video showing on your screen for more entertainment.